Oh, hey, we're back. It's Bet On It. It's me, Chev. That's Coach, aka Jeremiah. And that is the man with the plan, the biggest brain, the biggest name in all of stats and quantifications humanly possible. That is Joseph Bryan.
You're too nice, too kind.
Behind all of this, the theory of all of this. So, fellas, Jeremiah, how are we doing today?
Man, long time no see. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. It's been a lot of fun. Jameson Williams was great to us. It's like contractual obligations. Alec Pierce, Jameson Williams, and we're riding high. So glad to be back.
Joseph, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I can't remember if we did a show afterwards, but had a big Bryce Young parlay hit earlier this season. A nice 140-1 that has really just ignited everything good in life. And I had another Wan'Dale Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs one, that hit that I couldn't be happier about.
I think we did the show. So we took the week off for Thanksgiving last week, and then we were back. We're back now. But we did the show right after that hit.
Yeah.
Because it was the 448 game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then everybody ran to make Bryce Young the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he embarrassed us on national television on Monday Night Football. And then he came back and won. I don't understand. Anyway, this isn't the show for that. We're here to talk today about some of our favorite plays this week. One of which, Jeremiah has been absolutely cooking. I don't even want to know. I don't even know how many units that he is up on the season right now. But we're going to start the show off with a little bit of theory, a little bit of process. And I wanted to talk through this W right here in front of us, in front of everybody. And, you just talk through the process and then how you got here. And then we'll get into what we're going to get into for this week.
And the beautiful thing is we're going to school on this because I have a philosophical question. We can get action out of this. It's not just like, hey, look, we just won this ticket. And I'll just say respectfully, I'm healthy and there's ups and downs, but I'm in a healthy spot as far as the season goes. But it was a 4-leg ticket. It was the Commanders-Broncos game. And Pat Bryant, I went all 40 yards receiving. I saw the usage. That was my psychology on the play. Cortland Sutton, due for a bounce back, all 60 yards. Remember, we're coming off the bye. And I just had sky-high confidence. Second game with R.J. Harvey that he would really come through. We had a little bit of a disappointment, but we talked about Joseph post-rookie bye bumps, and we went for him. And people forget about Chris Rodriguez, how hard he ran and how much he had taken over that backfield when he was overseas. And then you had the bye week for the Commanders. So there's that little bit fuzzy forgetfulness where we can take advantage. So touchdown Harvey, touchdown Chris Rodriguez. My question for you, Joseph, and of course, this paid 5, it paid 263. I had a little 30% profit boost, but it was 39-1 odds laying it out. A question, Joseph, I stopped at 40 alt receiving yards for Pat Bryant. He got 42. In my mind, I had been thinking, do I go 50? Do I go 40? And I was conservative, went 40. Same thing with Cortland Sutton, could have easily gone alt 70. He hit 62. So just what goes into stopping at the right point? What do you think is the correct psychology on that, Joseph? Because there's so many times where we just press one too far to the right and it cooks the ticket.
So tell me about it. I am the king of missing parlays by 1 yard. Longtime followers of me know that. I mean, it's been years now. I've missed probably somewhere close to 30 to 40 parlays by 1 yard, right? I am a master at losing by 1 yard. And that's because I am a little too aggressive. But this is a really difficult problem. I think it's the hardest problem in this kind of power law, SGP world that we live in, where we want to kind of crank these odds and aim for the 1% probabilities, right? A 39-1, just so everyone's clear, 39-1 is less than a 2% probability of hitting, right? That's around there, right? It's about a 2% probability. That's amazing. That's really good. Hitting on those is so hard. It is so incredibly hard. And that's the goal is to, if you see that it's 2% and we can hit it 3% of the time, that 1% is a massive edge, right? It is an absolutely massive edge. So that's what our goals are here. That's what we're trying to do. So thinking about where to stop, right? in my opinion, there's kind of like two, and it's a vibe-based art form, right? There's two kind of ways to approach it. And to me, it's either you approach it on the entirety of the SGP, like the totality of your odds. So like maybe, you aim for 30 to 1. So you aim for around the plus 3,000 to plus 4,000 range. And then you stop when you get to that area, right? And I try to do that for my main write-ups. On when I write for my Substacks, on my main write-ups, I usually don't go past 50 to 1 unless I'm really just kind of going crazy. I usually don't go past 50 to 1, which, by the way, like we're talking so casually, we're talking about these. A lot of like professional bettors, they'll talk about like long shot odds are plus 200, right? Like a long shot, like what they would consider as like a long shot play is plus 200. So like getting to, and that, that's just 2 to 1. So getting to 50 to 1, you're talking these, you're lucky to hit these once a season, like in these ways. So like I would say set a kind of an upper bound on that SGP limit that you're comfortable with. Again, 30 to 1 is a great one. 30 to 1 is about a 3% chance. If anyone's curious, like that's what that comes out to. 30 to 1 is about a 3% chance of hitting. And that's, a safe area to go for. So that's like one way of doing it. I think the other way is, and I've said this before, but on each individual leg, maybe not surpassing plus 300 or plus 400, right? Setting like a limit for yourself for every player, right? Because in general, unless you have, amazing mathematical models and statistics and stuff that you're doing, in general, the books, whoever you're using, it doesn't matter. You could be using any book that is out there. They have better models than you do, right? For them, like they are their thing. They have like numbers, they have advantages. They're running simulations. Their numbers are better than yours. But if you like, there are advantages that we can have using correct data and approaching things the correct way. It's just beating them is going to be rare. So on each individual leg, maybe don't go past plus 300 or 400 as you're kind of assembling this, the SGP in its totality. And then I always say, don't go past 4 legs. If you can help it, don't go past 4 legs.
So it's like 3 formulas, 4 legs, because we could do those numbers, but people put together 6 legs. So we could do 4 legs, no more than 4 legs. We don't want more than plus 300 on a single leg, correct?
More than plus like 400, yeah. I would say like no more than plus 400.
And then we don't want past 30 to 1 on a SGP.
Yeah, 30. And I would say like all these are like, how do you feel comfortable, right? Like the more you push these numbers, the more maybe your payout can be, but the more you're going to lose.
Here's the question. You had a Substack member, and I was discussing a little bit it's a cool chat feature. Again, people go in there and subscribe. But Joseph, kind of on this line, you have somebody who's been doing what I would call, let's just call it like a haircut. They take your tail event, let's say it's 3 legs, and they'll cut it down to where they've cashed. So they've attested to the fact that they have cashed. Now, one question that I had, though, was they would take, let's say it's Drake May, 300 yards or 330 that you've got. They would take that leg down to 200. They would shave it real down. And then if you had somebody who it was 120 receiving yards, they get it down to like 60. And they've been hitting. The one thing is they had done one where they did 3 tickets and it was minus 119. Now it hit, and my question was, hey, how come is it worth it to have 3 outcomes that you need at minus 119 versus just getting 1 at minus 110? So my question to you would be, how would you do a haircut off of some of your right tail event plays, Joseph, for the audience to where you're still getting a benefit in your plus odds? Like for me, I've noticed you might have a 330 or a 300 for passing. And if I feel weird about it, I'll go 250. If you have a 120, I'll haircut it down to 90 all receiving yards. So it was interesting. This person was doing a little bit of what I have done a little bit. Their attestation is they're winning. So how would you solve that?
So I guess the first thing is like, if you're winning, great for you. Like I'm all for that. Like I want people to play the way they want to play. I don't really want to like, as Chev has said, this is not financial advice, right? Like I'm not like the arbiter of people's money or anything like that. And so play however you want to, but I personally strongly disagree with that, right? With haircutting things down into the minus odds, right? Please, if you want to keep doing it, keep doing it. But the problem with doing that is you lose the edge, right? Like when we talk about like where this edge is, like I just said, if we can hit something 3% of the time and the probability is 2%, you know, we're doing fantastic, right? That 1% is worth so much. But if we can hit something 51% of the time and the probability is 50%, that 1% is not worth a lot. That 1%, you have to bet so much volume to get a profit at that 1% when you only have like a 1% edge at 51 to 50 instead of 3 to 2. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like when you're haircutting it, as you say, when you lower all of the lines and you get to like a minus 110 or plus 100, you are giving the book a ton of juice. You are giving like that. It's like going to Walmart and being like, hey, can everything just be like 40% more expensive, please? You know, that would be great. And I don't like that. So I would much rather just, it's tough because you lose a lot. I have lost 99% of the bets I've made this season and I am up, right? So like I've lost 99% of them, but I am profitable in the season because when the big ones hit, when that 3% hits, right? When that finally does hit like it did with Bryce Young, that's when things happen, right? It's called the power law, right? Like this is a real thing in investments and you know, just in math and everything. It's a power law, and it's how this SGP theory really works. And in my opinion, haircutting it is not worth it. But we should probably get talking about some games.
Listen, I wanted to, again, the whole theory and the whole theme behind the show is teaching an alternative strategy that's not just like, hey, I'm going to just bet, you know, I'm just going to bet Jahmyr Gibbs for 40 yards rushing at minus 600. Like, so I feel like it's important to always talk about what the theory is behind this show so that people can actually learn and start to grasp the theory and then maybe put in some more educated bets that are long shots that, again, all it takes is one bet to cover your bankroll for the entire season, as opposed to like, oh yeah, we're just going to say bet, you know, CeeDee Lamb for 80 yards at minus 106. Like, it doesn't really do you a whole lot of good because of said juice that has been put into said bet. So,
exactly. And volume, right? Like, yeah. And the amount of volume required, like it just so the whole point of the SGPs and the way that it's framed with the 30-1 and the low percentage and attacking the edges that we have, the idea is that you are, you know, you're getting such a large return on those small ones that you hit that it makes up for everything. So I can't emphasize that enough. It's just, you have to be comfortable with losing. You really do. You just have to be comfortable with losing. And it's something that like GPP players and DFS are very well aware of. So,
yeah. Well, let's get into our first game where we talked about it before. We're going to hit this Commanders Vikings game because there's just, when there's uncertainty, which again, we talked about a bit. There we go. Screen's going schizophrenic a little bit. All right, we're good. All right, there we go. So we were talking about just the uncertainty surrounding JJ McCarthy. I've been trashing him on the internet for weeks now. It's been glorious. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's been great. It's been phantasmal. So where do you lean initially? What's your angle here? What's your play? And you know, I'll let you have the floor, Jeremiah. You can follow up with your analysis and your question there.
Yeah. So the first angle to this is that like we're in like bad weather times of the NFL, and we get a dome game, which is just nice. I always like having a dome game. You don't got to worry about what the weather's going to be or project or anything like that. So that's just a nice thing to have. But the second is that this Commanders defense is like bad. Like it's really bad. It is not great they are just really bad at pass defense. And so one of the new metrics that I've created this season, I wrote about it in my Coach I Was Open article 2 weeks ago, and I wrote about defense's ability last week. But It's called potential EPA per attempt. And the idea is that we can predict the maximum EPA a defense could give up on a given play, whether they give it up or not, right? So how much could they give up on this play? And the Commanders by far allow the highest predicted EPA per play, potential EPA per play on every pass attempt, right? So the idea is that they are not just bad at like defending the pass, but they are on every play, they are allowing a lot to develop, right? It is not just like, a few explosives here and there. It is like everyone is open. they are allowing a lot of chaos and turmoil to happen. And so betting into that is something I am interested in personally. And currently JJ McCarthy's line's like at 186, I think. And you're getting that against the worst pass defense in the NFL that has allowed a ton of potential EPA. And you have like on the other flip side of this, JJ McCarthy has like a top 5 potential EPA. He's not good. He hasn't captured that EPA, but he has a really high potential because this offense is a really good situation, right? So like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, all 3 of them are getting open like crazy. And JJ McCarthy just can't get them the ball. What if he does in a dome back at home against the worst pass defense in the NFL? It does not take much to go right, and you end up with this just some awesome right tail events for the Vikings passing offense. Coupled with, I just want to add one more thing onto this. The Vikings defense is really like it can be really good at times, right? Like it is demonic. They blitz a lot. They are good at getting the ball back. That can turn into more opportunities for this Vikings offense, right? Yes. Against this not super amazing Commanders offense. Like I think that the Vikings defense can really force a lot more plays for the Vikings in the situation. So really, there's just a lot that's happening that kind of leads me to believe that this is, if there's a spot this season that JJ McCarthy can succeed, this is the spot for him to succeed, right? Like if there's a place he can, this is the place.
Well, let's look at JJ McCarthy, to your point. And I was having this thought too. And part of it is your ball watchers, ball knowers, right, Chev?
Yeah.
Where you have McCarthy has clearly struggled. He's been awful. The low 50% completion percentage, bad. All right. Michael Jackson, bad. And JJ McCarthy, though, he's had some plays where Addison dropped like a 35-yarder. It was a couple weeks ago. It wasn't make or break for the game, but there are these couple little plays where there were some drops by the Minnesota Vikings receivers where if you connect, you could tell a little bit of a story of maybe that drive continues. And when you look at football in totality and you look at games and you break down a 3-touchdown game, sometimes it's a handful of plays that make that difference for that outcome. So I could really see Jordan Addison blowing up 49 yards receiving per game, and you get to plus 161 at all 50, plus 255 at 60 for Addison. We have for Justin Jefferson, plus 110 at 70, which usually you would kind of get into that range towards about 90. So you're getting maybe like a 20-yard discount on Justin Jefferson, to your point. All 2 touchdown passes, plus 164 for JJ McCarthy. You go to 3, it's plus 568. So you could really tell a story where it's 250 alt yards. Or maybe it's in 250 would be right up at plus 465. So you can imagine now seeing plus 300, it's plus 1,500. So if you did a tail event, Joseph, where it was like all JJ McCarthy 300 passing yards, all 3 touchdowns, or even 2 touchdowns if you want to haircut it, these receiving on Jordan Addison at 60 plus, there's a lot of spots where you could ladder your way up, and it's beautiful. And we're hearing Jaden Daniels full practice. So how would you feel if Jaden Daniels played in this game? Would that fortify shootout potential on a back and forth?
A little bit. I think that I'm not real sure how I would how I interpret that quite yet. I think that like Jaden Daniels hasn't exactly been a world killer this season, even when he's healthy, right? He hasn't been like that good. And I think like this Vikings defense, I wouldn't want to send a Jaden Daniels into that. If I was a coach, I wouldn't be like, he's back. He's finally healthy. Let's send him into the Brian Flores defense of the Vikings. That's not something I would do. And so I mean, whether he plays or not, I'm not sure. But I do think that like it doesn't really change the thesis too much. I think that this Vikings defense gets after it, and I very much think that they can force some turnovers. They can, force some 3 and outs, get the ball back, and just create more volume for this Vikings offense. But yeah, I think that like one player that I don't think people talk enough about is like Jalen Naylor. If you look at like Judah Fortgang, he comes out with graphs on Twitter and everything, but like Jalen Naylor is always in the top right of like getting open and being really good at the catch point. He's got some really low props, and this is an absolutely a spot that he could go off. Like I'm just saying. So in my opinion, this is a spot where I would probably play just different versions of Vikings passing offense. Vikings probably win big if they have a good passing offense, right? And maybe just, choose your fighter with some receivers and, the receiving part that's harder to grasp, right? Like it's hard to predict which receivers are going to do what, but, I'd say pick your fighter on who you believe in and who has the best odds. And to me, like Jalen Naylor just has such incredibly appealing odds that you can make some SGPs go wild.
Well, you see 50 plus yards on DraftKings plus 700.
Yeah, like for just real quick, Chev, make a do 50 on Jalen Naylor, do 250 on Justin Jeff on JJ McCarthy.
Yep.
And then do Vikings win by 5.5.
Let's see. Yeah. JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, do like 250.
250. That's plus 1,800.
Yeah, you're already at 18-1, right? Like, and then do like 5.5 on Vikings if you can.
Let's see. Trying to see the spread. I don't know where the spread.
Just do spread. Just do the spread then. Do -1.5
on the spread. Okay.
Yeah, plus so you're getting that at 37-1, right? Like, you are not asking for a lot. You're asking for
5 pays 190.
You're asking for 2, and I'm not trying to give financial advice to anybody, but you're asking for 250 yards against the worst defense in the NFL. 50 yards for a receiver that is in the top right of like every quadrant graph, like he's an above average receiver. And if those two things happen, the Vikings are likely going to win, right? Like that's really what you're asking for. Yep. And these are the kinds of SGPs I'm interested in making, right? Like these things that are not out of the realm of possibility at all. It really just takes an average performance for it to happen. And you're getting 37-1, right? Like to get 37-1 in tonight's game, you probably had to put George Pickens at 150 and Dak Prescott at like 350 and the Cowboys to win by a touchdown to get like a similar payout.
Right. And we want to go where people aren't, and people aren't here. And it's like the coolest thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting. This is really, really interesting to me because one, if you've watched Jalen Naylor play football, it's just a matter of like, hey, we've got 3 really good receivers. We just got to figure out how to get them the ball. And, I think that's a great call. I wish that there was a way for us to get it at the alt line at like Vikings -5 or even pump it up all the way to a touchdown. If we're really feeling the fact that like Washington Commanders can't stop a nosebleed, combined with the fact that if it's ever going to happen for JJ McCarthy, this is the perfect environment for it to happen.
And just one more point on JJ McCarthy. Like the thing that he's been just struggling with so bad is his accuracy. He's had the worst accurate throw percentage in the NFL. He cannot get the ball accurately to his receivers. He's had a week off, right? He didn't have to go against the demonic Seahawks defense, right? Like he can. Hopefully, all he needs to do is just get the ball there. It's not much more than that, right? He's just struggling actually getting the ball there. He's making decent reads. He's just struggling getting the ball there. So it's just if he can get that part done, then we would be looking golden.
Well, it's wild because we've seen the path for Tyrod Taylor, and he's hit in recent weeks. Adonai Mitchell, where it was dark and desolate for us. So you just have to get your mind past what has happened, and the problem is
think about what will happen.
You'll never get it if you're always reacting after the fact. You'll never get these right tail events if you're not seeing ahead and thinking about what could happen, where it could be. Think about when we do redraft ADP every single year, you sit there and think to yourself, who are these cats in round 7, 8, 9, 10 who will be 5th rounders, 3rd rounders, 1st rounders? And then you draft accordingly in those spots at those prices. And you pay 5th round, 7th round, 10th round prices. So here, same concept. You are paying those low prices for that outcome where next week that number is going to shift. So almost, wouldn't you say, Joseph and Chev, we're trying to find what games next week the price is going to go up.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, hey, just seeing around corners, giving yourself an opportunity to hit one of these, giving yourself an opportunity to hit one of these without having to do anything outlandish, which we just laid out for you, is a great play. But let's move on to this game. This one right here. We talked about this on the running back show. We talked about this on the receiver show because it's such an intriguing game for me. But Joseph, why don't you lay out the case so we can play it out on why this game has interested you? We talked about it a little bit before the show, but let's talk about it for the people so they can get a feel for what this actually represents.
Yeah, so like what we talked with the Commanders, like the Commanders are the worst defense in the NFL in potential EPA per attempt allowed. Right. Like, so like if you think about like just what they are allowing to develop on the field, whether the offense takes advantage of it or not, that doesn't matter. What they are allowing to develop on the field has been bad. Like the Commanders have been awful. The worst in the NFL over the last month and over the course of the season. The Colts have been the second worst defense over the last month. Right. They play a lot of man coverage, and Sauce Gardner, with him getting hurt, like who knows if they adjust that going forward. But they have been allowing a lot of potential EPA on the field. They just really haven't been a great pass defense. And, pair that with the fact that we already have, we have a game that could become a shootout. The Colts have the ability to push this game, right? The Colts are going to come out. They're going to be successful on offense. They're going to score. And that very well could push the Jaguars into a passing mode of an offense against a bad passing defense. And that's kind of the perfect situation. A good offense with a bad passing defense really can force the other team to have to respond. And Trevor Lawrence's lines aren't exactly high. I mean, they're not exactly low. They're not like J.J. McCarthy low, but they're not super high, right? Like I think it's somewhere in like the 220 range at the moment. So I think that like this is a spot where it makes a ton of sense. Combine that with the fact that you have 2 Jaguars showing up on the single coverage monsters, and one of them might be injured for the upcoming game, right? Parker Washington and Brian Thomas Jr. show up on my single coverage monsters table, which is kind of like a high upside wide receiver play table. And you really get a great reason to play some Brian Thomas, right? Like I know everyone's been itching for him to do good. And this might be the game. Like if there's a game for him to succeed, this is a great spot for him. So combine that with the fact that Tyler Warren is a really good bringback. The Jaguars cannot defend the tight end position to save their lives. I mean, they're not quite as bad as the Bengals, but they cannot defend the tight end position. And you really have like a nice little recipe for like a Trevor Lawrence to Brian Thomas Jr. with the Tyler Warren bringback, and you can get that at close to 30-1.
And this right here, this ticket, as you spoke to, 250 alt Trevor Lawrence, 100 alt receiving Brian Thomas, 60 alt Tyler Warren, you're at plus 2,700. So like you said, you're close to 30-1. And then you have 5 pays out 140. And what's wild is, wouldn't you say if you have these 3 legs, Joseph, let's just say if we're just going off this, you can make like 3 tickets where you do 250 Trevor Lawrence. And then instead of BTJ at 100, you get him down to 80 and maybe boost Tyler Warren up to 80. How would you
or put Tyler Warren at a touchdown, right? Like that's kind of how I do these things, right? Like I have to drive to a Exxon Waffle House or Huddle House Wombo combo in Tennessee to do everything. But when I'm there, I usually will like cycle through and kind of do different permutations of like what I think is most likely, right? Like I'm like, okay, I covered his yardage, but like, what if he gets a touchdown instead of the yardage? Like, what if he gets receptions and not the yardage? And so I'll cover my bases and usually put in low amounts. And the beautiful thing about this it's like you can hit multiples of those, right? Like, what if he gets yardage and a touchdown? Well, now all of a sudden you've hit 2 of them, right? As if that's the only difference. And so you're really doing an or on these bets. You know, you're doing an or with these when you do different permutations. But you know, I think that this is just a pretty solid spot for what is not a truly atrocious offense against what has been a pretty bad defense that has a good offense that can push the game. So it really kind of makes out to just be like one of those nice little SGP angles.
Hey, if you add to that ticket the touchdown for Tyler Warren, it's 43-1. What's the percent odds on 43-1? Do you know?
43-1 is probably a little less than 2%. If I had to just like say it off the top of my head.
Yep. Any thought?
Give me, just I rarely interject here.
2%, by the way, it's at 2%.
But I really want to throw out there. I've been talking about this on the fantasy side for a while. Brenton Strange is the number 2 receiver in the offense.
Yes. Okay, good.
He has been functioning as the number 2 receiver in the offense since he came back from IR. The first game back, 5 catches, 93 yards. If my Titans could have put up any sort of fight, he might have done something biblical to them, but they called off the dogs midway through the third quarter. So I would like to, you know, if you're going to do a different permutation of this, I would like to get some Tyler Warren action. Okay. His bubble guts should be all cleared up, and then throw some Brenton Strange. Either 50 is plus 119. You see it right there. But I want to go 70. I want to go 70. He had 90 yards his first week back, and then he had 45 this past week and a touchdown. So I want to just go 70 because that's enough juice in there to really get weird. So, yeah, 4 legs. Yeah. I had to throw that out there, guys. I apologize.
That was what okay. I was thinking. I was just going to say. So thank you, man. Brenton Strange. He's been cooking, man.
Yeah, and the Colts defense has not been great against tight ends, right? Like if I think of 3 defenses that have been bad against tight ends, it's the Bengals, it's the Jaguars, and it's the Colts. Like those are like the 3 worst defenses in the NFL against tight ends. So like I don't hate it at all. I think that you know, I don't know if yards are how he gets there, but I bet he does get there. You know what I'm saying? If they had alt fantasy points, oh boy.
Joseph, is this a spot where, man, we've just spoken to 4 different players, 5 different players. We love them all. Man, any temptation to go for a 5th leg?
Nope.
How do we stop and gain discipline? We stop at 4. And what's the rule?
You do 4, and if you want to do different permutations, you do different permutations, right? Like
you heard the man. You heard the man. So, and then you would say just iterations of 3, permutations of 3 and 4 legs, and get crazy.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing is like, again, I want people to like do their own research with this kind of stuff too, right? Like, you know, you might find something that we didn't find, and I think that like you should really look into like what makes these offenses tick, what makes these defenses lose, and why can so and so score a touchdown, or why can't they score a touchdown? Who needs to score a touchdown based off their regression? You know, like checking out all this information is so vitally important. Maybe you don't want to include passing yards in your bet. Maybe you want to include the money line. Maybe you like there's a million different ways to construct this, but the basic idea and the thesis is really good offense that has a bad passing defense is playing against a team that has a good enough offense to put up points and put up yardage, and they have very clear ways of doing that, and that's through Brian Thomas and Brenton Strange.
See, this is why you got to tap in during Thursday night football. It's 36 of you guys watching right now. Like this is the theory, right? There's not just random like bro science behind this. My guy literally has an MBA in statistics and is making some of the most diabolical models known to mankind. Like NASA's coming to him asking like, hey, can you please help us with our math? All right.
I don't have an MBA, but thank you. I do my best with the bachelor's. I do my best with the bachelor's.
Hey man, just let me They wouldn't have known you didn't have an MBA because this is just elite. This is elite statistical analysis, bro. Just let me
great discourse. Great discourse.
But yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you guys wanted to cover before we get out of here?
Yeah, I would just mention that I think the Packers are in a pretty good spot this week against the Bears defense. Don't want to go too crazy on it. Maybe save that for the Substack. So,
I mean, listen, if you haven't gone to Joseph's Substack and subscribed, if you're not a part of the Patreon, if you're not in the Discord, like you're missing out. Okay, you're missing out because there's people like-minded to us that really like. One, there's people in there who understand the process, and then there's people who are trying to learn. But the important thing is you can't get better if you're not having the right conversations. And there's a lot of the right conversations taking place. So before we get out of here, Jeremiah, tell everybody where they can find you.
Hey man, Player Profiler, defenses and kickers. We've been crushing every week. Trade Gods, please go watch Trade Gods. We have good topical things where we're talking about Justin Jefferson, Bucky Irving, Adonai Mitchell this last week. Yeah, come see us. So love to see it. And thank you for tuning into this show.
Absolutely. And Joseph, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me everywhere at Koala TY Stats. And, I write up a very big write-up for every single game. It comes out on Fridays. So it is quite thorough, and I think people enjoy it a lot. So
Can confirm. And if you want more of me, myself, Chev GPT, go follow me on the Twitter X at Chev90. Yeah, that's it. That's the right one. This is Bet On It. This has been another week. Hey, good luck, everybody. And please share those winning tickets. See you next week.